This is Fleet Admiral Yuki Tanaka. This is my final report. The complete record of what we now call the Last War. 72 hours that determined whether humanity would exist or be erased from the universe. I commanded our forces at the threshold. I watched 500,000 enemy ships approach. I gave the orders that killed trillions of sentient beings. And I would do it again. This is Case File 000 Omega. This is the end of everything that came before, and the beginning of everything that came after. This is how humanity became alone. The Extinction Coalition did not form overnight. It took decades of quiet diplomacy, secret meetings, and careful planning. 47 species, many of them ancient enemies, setting aside millennia of hatred to face a common threat. Us. Humanity had been expanding for 3 centuries. We had colonized 200 worlds. Our population had reached 100 billion. Our fleet had grown to 52,000 warships. But it was not our size that frightened them. It was our nature. The galaxy had watched us exterminate the Zalthorax. 200 billion dead because they destroyed Earth. They had watched us genocide the Morveth. 600 billion dead because they threatened our children. They had watched us dismantle the Drethnar, the Kethavari, the Vorathi, and a dozen other species who had made the mistake of challenging us. We did not conquer. We did not negotiate. We did not forgive. We exterminated. The galaxy looked at humanity and saw a pattern, a species that responded to any threat with total annihilation, a civilization that did not know how to stop fighting once it started. They saw their own future in our past victims, and they decided to strike first. The Velkath Dominion organized the coalition. Ancient, cautious, methodical. They had watched humanity for 2 centuries, modeling our behavior, predicting our expansion. Their calculations were clear. Within another century, humanity would be too powerful to stop. They reached out to their neighbors. Then, their neighbors' neighbors. Then species they had been at war with for generations. The message was simple. Humanity will destroy us all eventually, unless we destroy them first. 47 species agreed, some eagerly, some reluctantly. All of them convinced that humanity's extinction was necessary for their survival. They spent 3 years preparing, building ships, stockpiling weapons, training soldiers, coordinating tactics between species that had never worked together. 500,000 warships, the largest fleet in galactic history, crewed by trillions of soldiers from 47 different civilizations, against 52,000 human ships and 100 billion people. They believed it would be enough. They were almost right. I learned of the coalition 6 months before they attacked. Human intelligence had been tracking unusual diplomatic activity for years. When 47 species simultaneously increased military production, we knew something was coming. When our spies confirmed the target was humanity itself, we began planning. There was no possibility of diplomacy. The coalition had already decided we needed to die. There was no possibility of flight. We could not evacuate 100 billion people. There was no possibility of surrender. They were not coming to conquer us. They were coming to exterminate us. The only option was to fight. I gathered every admiral, every general, every strategic mind humanity possessed. We studied the approaching threat. We analyzed their fleet compositions. We calculated their approach vectors. And we identified our one advantage: geography. Human space was accessible through only 3 major hyperspace corridors. The largest, the Threshold, could accommodate massive fleet movements. The other 2 were smaller, limiting how many ships could transit simultaneously. If the Coalition wanted to attack with their full force, they had to come through the Threshold. And at the Threshold, we could make them pay for every kilometer. I ordered the construction of the Threshold Defense Network. Every mine we could manufacture, every weapons platform we could build, every automated defense system we could deploy. We turned the Threshold into a kill zone, 2 light-years deep. Then we positioned our fleet, all 52,000 ships, at the far end, waiting for them to come through. The mathematics were brutal. 10-to-1 odds, even with our defensive network. We would lose, eventually. But we would make them bleed, and humans fight differently when we know we're going to die. D-Day was April 7th, 3215. The Coalition fleet emerged from hyperspace at 0600 hours, all of them. 500,000 ships, arranged in formations representing 47 species. The Velkath in the center, their dreadnoughts forming the command corps. The Krethvari on the left flank, aggressive, eager for combat. The Thessian Combine on the right, methodical, precise. Dozens of other species filling the gaps. They advanced in perfect formation. They had trained for this. They had planned for this. They were confident in their numbers, their coordination, their inevitable victory. They hit the first minefield at 0622. 12,000 ships, gone in the first minute. The mines were not ordinary mines. We had spent 6 months designing them. Smart weapons that identified targets, coordinated with each other, maximized damage. Each mine carried enough explosive force to cripple a cruiser. We had deployed 40 million of them. The Coalition advance slowed. They began sweeping for mines, clearing paths through the fields. It cost them time. It cost them ships. It did not stop them. By 0700, they had pushed through the first defensive layer. We had killed perhaps 30,000 ships. 470,000 remained. The weapons platforms engaged next. Automated stations, each one carrying enough firepower to match a battleship. We had built 8,000 of them. The platforms fought until they were destroyed. Each one took enemies with it. Each one bought time. By 0800, the platforms were gone. We had killed another 40,000 Coalition ships. 430,000 remained. Then they reached us. The Battle of the Threshold began at 0817 hours, when the first enemy weapons fire reached our formation. I will not pretend the next 72 hours were glorious. They were not. They were brutal, desperate, horrifying. The largest naval engagement in galactic history, fought at ranges where ships died in seconds. Hour 1 through 6 was the initial engagement. We held formation at the narrowest point of the Threshold, a region of gravitational distortion that limited how many ships could engage us simultaneously. They could only bring perhaps 50,000 vessels to bear at once. 50,000 against 52,000. Almost even. We killed them. Ship after ship. Wave after wave. They pushed forward. We pushed back. Every kilometer they gained cost them hundreds of vessels. By hour 6, we had lost 8,000 ships. They had lost 60,000. But they kept coming. The Coalition had a simple strategy: attrition. They could afford to trade 1 for 1, 2 for 1, even 3 for 1. They had the numbers. We did not. They were willing to sacrifice 100,000 ships if it meant our destruction. Hour 6 through 12 was adjustment. The enemy commanders recognized our defensive position was too strong. They began trying to outflank us, to push through the gravitational distortions and attack from multiple directions. We countered, redeployed, shifted forces to meet each new threat. Vice Admiral Kowalski took the Third Fleet to cover our left flank. 20,000 coalition ships tried to break through. She held them for 6 hours, with 7,000 vessels. When her flagship was destroyed at hour 11, she transferred to a destroyer and kept fighting. When that destroyer was destroyed at hour 12, she died with her crew. She took 32,000 enemy ships with her. Hour 12 through 24 was the grind. No more clever tactics. No more strategic maneuvers. Just killing. Continuous, unrelenting killing. We rotated our ships, cycling damaged vessels to the rear while fresh ones took their place. We redistributed ammunition from destroyed ships to surviving ones. We made repairs under fire, patching holes in hulls while weapons blazed around us. The coalition did the same. They had more ships, but they also had 47 different species trying to coordinate. Their command structure was unwieldy. Their tactics were compromised by competing egos. We exploited every weakness, every gap in their formation, every moment of confusion. By hour 24, we had lost 19,000 ships. They had lost 140,000. 33,000 human ships remained against 290,000 coalition vessels, still nearly 10 to 1. Hour 24 through 36 was desperation. We were running out of ships, running out of ammunition, running out of crew who could still fight. I made a decision that haunts me still. I ordered the civilian evacuation fleet to join the battle. 12,000 transport ships, lightly armed, barely armored, crewed by civilians who had been preparing to evacuate our colonies if we lost. I ordered them to fight. They did not hesitate. Not one ship refused. Not one crew surrendered. They knew what was at stake. They knew the coalition would not spare anyone, combatant or civilian, soldier or child. If we lost, everyone died. So they fought. 12,000 transport ships, charging into a battle against warships 10 times their size, using their bulk as weapons when their guns ran dry, ramming enemy vessels when nothing else worked. They bought us 6 hours. When hour 36 arrived, 800 transport ships remained. The rest were debris. But the coalition had lost another 60,000 ships, 230,000 enemy vessels against 27,000 human ships. Hour 36 through 48 was bleeding. Both sides were dying, bleeding out in the cold void between stars. Our ammunition was nearly gone. Our ships were held together with emergency repairs and prayer. Our crews had been fighting for a day and a half without sleep. The coalition was worse. 47 species, 47 different command structures, 47 different tactical doctrines. The stress of continuous combat was breaking their coordination. Units began acting independently. Some pushed forward recklessly. Others hung back, unwilling to sacrifice themselves. The unified fleet was fragmenting into 47 separate fleets, each with its own agenda. I saw the cracks forming. I gave orders to exploit them. Strike groups targeted the gaps between species formations. We hit the Krethvari when the Thessians failed to support them. We destroyed Velkath command ships when their escorts were occupied elsewhere. We turned their coalition against itself. By hour 48, we had lost another 12,000 ships, 15,000 remained. But the coalition had lost 100,000 more. 130,000 enemy ships remained. Still nearly 10 to 1. But 10 to 1 felt very different now than it had at the beginning. Hour 48 through 60 was the turn. I do not know exactly when the coalition's morale broke. I do not know which species decided first that victory was not worth the cost. But at hour 50, the Thessian Combine withdrew. 28,000 ships turning away from the battle, refusing to advance. Their admiral broadcast a simple message. This is not worth extinction. We are leaving. The coalition command tried to stop them, threatened them, ordered them back. The Thessians ignored all of it. They had seen enough. They had lost enough. They left. At hour 52, the Krethvari followed. Then the Mordrath. Then a dozen smaller species. The coalition was collapsing. By hour 60, only the Velkath and their closest allies remained, perhaps 40,000 ships still fighting. Against 12,000 human vessels. We attacked. Hour 60 through 72 was the hunt. For the first time in 72 hours, we were not defending. We were pursuing. The Velkath tried to retreat, but we had maneuvered behind them during the chaos of the coalition's collapse. They were trapped in the same kill zone they had tried to push us into. We did not let them escape. Every ship that tried to run was hunted down. Every formation that tried to regroup was shattered. Every commander who tried to surrender was ignored. We had lost too much. We had bled too deeply. We had watched 40,000 human ships die, watched millions of our people burn in the void. We were not interested in prisoners. The Velkath High Command died at hour 68. Their flagship, the Pride of Velkath, a dreadnought 3 kilometers long, carrying their supreme commander and his entire staff, was destroyed by a coordinated strike from 7 human battleships. I gave that order personally. By hour 70, the remaining Velkath had stopped fighting, not surrendered. We weren't accepting surrenders. They simply stopped. Ships drifting, weapons cold, crews waiting to die. We obliged them. Hour 72. The last coalition ship, a Velkath cruiser that had been playing dead among the debris, tried to make a run for the hyperspace boundary. I ordered the TFS Nemesis to intercept. Captain Rodriguez caught them at the boundary. 1 human destroyer against 1 alien cruiser. Rodriguez rammed them. Both ships were destroyed. The last coalition vessel. The last enemy combatant. Gone. I stood on the bridge of my flagship, the TFS Indomitable, one of the few capital ships that had survived, and looked at the tactical display. 72 hours ago, it had shown 500,000 enemy contacts. Now, it showed none. The Battle of the Threshold was over. Final accounting. Coalition forces committed 500,000 ships, representing 47 species. Coalition forces destroyed approximately 312,000 ships. Coalition forces fled approximately 188,000 ships. Human forces committed 52,000 warships, 12,000 civilian vessels. Human forces destroyed 56,000 vessels. Human forces surviving 8,000 vessels. We had won, if you could call it winning. The aftermath of the last war was not celebration. It was shock. 8,000 ships. That was all we had left. 8,000 vessels to protect 200 worlds and 100 billion people. And the galaxy was not empty. 188,000 coalition ships had fled the battle. They had returned to their homeworlds, 47 species who had tried to destroy us and failed. They expected retaliation. They expected us to do what we had always done: hunt them down, burn their worlds, exterminate their species. I wanted to. Every fiber of my being screamed for vengeance. They had come to destroy us. They had killed 56,000 ships worth of our people. They deserved extinction. But I looked at our remaining fleet. 8,000 ships. Half of them damaged. Crews exhausted beyond measure. We could not exterminate 47 species. We did not have the strength. For the first time in human history, we had to choose mercy not from virtue, but from necessity. I broadcast a message across every frequency, reaching every species in the galaxy. This is Fleet Admiral Yuki Tanaka of the Terran Federation. The Extinction Coalition has been defeated. 312,000 of your ships have been destroyed. 188,000 have fled. I paused. We will not pursue. We will not retaliate. We will not exterminate your species, though you deserve nothing less. Another pause. But understand this. You came at us with everything the galaxy possessed. 500,000 ships, 47 species, every weapon, every soldier, every resource you could muster. My voice hardened, and you failed. I let that sink in. We have 8,000 ships remaining. In 5 years, we will have 50,000. In 10 years, 100,000. In 20 years, we will be stronger than the coalition ever was. I smiled, though no one could see it. You had one chance to destroy us. One moment when the galaxy was united and we were vulnerable. You spent that chance. It is gone forever. Final pause. Do not test us again. Do not threaten us. Do not approach human space without explicit invitation. The next species that attacks humanity will not receive the mercy we are showing today. I terminated the transmission. The galaxy heard. The galaxy believed. The decades following the last war were quiet. The coalition species retreated to their own territories, licking their wounds, rebuilding their shattered fleets. They did not threaten us. They did not approach. They barely acknowledged our existence. Fear had replaced hatred. We rebuilt as well. New ships, new colonies, new children to replace the ones who had been orphaned. But something had changed. The humans who emerged from the last war were not the same as the ones who had entered it. We had looked extinction in the face. We had fought a battle we should not have survived. We had killed trillions of sentient beings to protect ourselves. We were harder now, colder, more willing to use force and less willing to trust. The galaxy had taught us that everyone was a potential enemy. That alliance meant nothing when fear took hold, that the only safety was strength. We learned that lesson well. Within 30 years, human space had expanded to 400 worlds. Within 50 years, our fleet numbered 200,000 vessels. Within a century, we were more powerful than the coalition had ever been. The galaxy watched us grow. The galaxy did nothing. What could they do? They had thrown everything at us once and failed. They would not make that mistake again. Humanity stood alone among the stars, feared by every species, trusted by none, surrounded by civilizations that had tried to destroy us and failed. Some call this victory. Some call this tragedy. I call it survival. The last war proved something that no one wanted to admit. It proved that when faced with an existential threat, humans will do anything to survive. We will fight battles we cannot win. We will take casualties that would break any other species. We will burn the galaxy to ash if that is what survival requires. We are not good. We are not evil. We are alive. And we will remain alive, no matter what the universe throws at us. This is Fleet Admiral Yuki Tanaka, signing off for the final time. Case file 000 Omega is now closed. This is the end of the Terran archives as you know them. The last war was not the final chapter of human history, but it was the final chapter of the history we share with other species. After the threshold, we stood alone. After the threshold, no species dared to challenge us. After the threshold, humanity became something new, something the galaxy had never seen. A species that had been tested by the entire universe and found unbreakable. 500,000 ships came to destroy us. We destroyed them instead. 8,000 ships remained from 52,000. 8,000 ships, crewed by humans who had not slept in 3 days, who had watched their friends die by the millions, who had fought until their weapons melted and their reactors failed. 8,000 ships that represented everything humanity had left. And it was enough, because humans do not need to be the strongest. We do not need to be the most numerous. We do not need to be the most advanced. We just need to refuse to die, and we refuse very, very well. Let this be the final lesson of the Terran archives. The galaxy came